supposed to be this way. Here. This is a birthday gift for you. I know that you like to remove stains. You're not supposed to want this.
You know me so well.
Yeah.
How amazing would that be? That would be really epic. Talk about going viral if you offed me in here. I'm just saying, like, it would be genius.
Yeah.
Now that would make some serious television.
Yeah, that's good content right there.
Pause. What did she just say?
If you offed me in here, I'm just saying, like...
If you're unfamiliar with who is in that clip, that was Penn Badgley, star of the hit Netflix show You, surprising Drew Barrymore by locking her up in his infamous cage from his show. You, a TV show circulated on the adventures of the charismatic serial killer Joe, is a prime example of Hollywood's efforts to make satisfactory TV off of terrible events that do happen in real life. American society is so desensitized from the realities of serial killers. I mean, Drew Barrymore herself claimed that it would be pretty epic.
You offed me in here, I'm just saying, like...
The fascination with serial killers and their minds has been evident for decades. Often treated as spectacles, society has latched onto the entertainment value of the most heinous criminals they can find. From TV shows to movies to even conventions and fan clubs idolizing these killers and their victims has become a media staple. But how does this glamorization affect the way we perceive these brutal crimes? This desensitization, marketing, and heroization of serial killers has resulted in the romanticizing and the downplay of the cruel reality of their atrocities. It is clear that the glamorization of these people is apparent and becoming a problem. While it is okay to have a curiosity about these troubled people, what is the line between curious nature and obsession?
For years and years, Hollywood has seemed to be one of the greatest influences on American society. This hierarchy has provided us with cinematic experiences that leave us wanting more. Numerous TV shows and documentaries have been released over time about serial killers, their motives, and stories. Whether they are fact or fiction, these renditions of their stories have played into the normalization of making films and TV shows for monetary gain. With the release of the Netflix series Dahmer Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, starring Hollywood heartthrob Evan Peters, an uprising of angry viewers and upset families of victims came forward shouting their disdain for the project. They believed that Netflix was capitalizing on the horrors that had afflicted their families without any warning or consent. Eric Perry, the cousin of a Dahmer victim, tweeted saying that the families did not find out about the production of the show until it was released to Netflix. Shirley Hughes also had a comment on the release of the series, whose son was an entire subject of one episode, saying, "I don't see how they can do that. I don't see how they can use our names and put stuff like that out there." The producers let out a statement after the show was released, saying that over the course of the three and a half years when we were really working on it, we reached out to around 20 of the victims' families and friends, trying to get input, trying to talk to people, and not a single person in that process responded to us. People saw Netflix's response as just using the families as another outlet for research, instead of them reaching out to get consent to make the show. When the families spoke out, it was clear that Netflix's efforts could have been more prominent and persistent. If the families never gave their consent, maybe it was for a reason. Rita Isabel, whose brother was murdered by Dahmer in 1991, wrote that she was never contacted about the show. "I feel like Netflix could have asked if we mind or how we felt about making it. They didn't ask me anything, they just did it. But I'm not money hungry, and that's what this show is about, Netflix trying to get paid." The victims' families stated that they did not want to have these reminders of the tragedies that were bestowed upon them. Viewers of the show knew this too, as an individual stated how the mother of one of the victims greatly disliked the series and didn't appreciate having been reminded of such a tragedy, and that they're making money and entertainment off of it. Another viewer was upset with the making, stating how most of these stories don't need to be told, and Dahmer's story has been told more than enough times. This further proves how the making of these series over and over is becoming repetitive and more traumatizing for the victims' families. While many viewers like the show, this has only added to the ongoing problem that is re-traumatizing the families of serial killers' victims. There is a solid possibility these families do not respond to mainstream producers because they are against the production of them. Although some producers have the intention to educate and inform the public, more often than not, the way they go about it is insensitive to the victims and their families. A lot of filmmakers and producers prioritize making favorable TV or movies to gain more traction and money. These families do not deserve to have their sons, daughters, and relatives' murders blasted in gory detail for the world to see, only for the monetary gain of films and shows. True justice does not lie in the hands of Hollywood.
Even without the glamorization from Hollywood, serial killers have been idolized at a personal level as well. Richard Ramirez, otherwise known as the Night Stalker, is known for more than his murder spree, torture, sexual assault of his victims, and his satanic worship. He is also recognized for his devoted fans, such as Cindy Hayden, a member of the same jury that convicted him of 13 murders, 5 attempted murders, and 11 cases of sexual assault. Hayden believed that during the trial, Ramirez had been flirting with her, looking romantically in her direction, and even at times blowing her kisses. Hayden had immediately fallen head over heels for Ramirez, so much so that during the trial she went as far as to bake him cupcakes, saying, "I love you," on Valentine's Day. Even after she herself convicted him, admitting that she believed he would kill again if he was released, she still visited him in jail, and even at times brought her own parents along with her. This wasn't his only groupie either. During his time in jail, Ramirez had reportedly received thousands of fan letters. This is why he is known as Death Row Romeo, and how he had met his wife. After exchanging dozens of letters, Doreen Leoy had decided that Ramirez was the love of her life, and soon after he proposed. This has not only caused Doreen's family to disown her, but also for her to be publicly shamed. But this did not stop her. Reports stated that she had went as far as to say she would commit suicide when Ramirez was executed. However, after 8 years of being engaged and 3 years of marriage, Ramirez's DNA was found in the body of an 11-year-old girl, and that was Doreen's last straw. She decided to leave him, cutting all contact with him, even though they never officially divorced. Soon after, Ramirez would become engaged to another groupie. This pair would stay together until his death. This isn't the only case of fans like this existing. There are countless recorded fan clubs and fans dating back centuries.
As previously mentioned, society has cultivated a culture where serial killers are put in the spotlight, which then leads to this whole idea of glamorization. Because serial killers display such abnormal and inhumane behaviors, there is a natural curiosity for society to understand the why and the what that led up to their unacceptable actions. It's been found that most serial killers have experienced childhood trauma and abuse or have been diagnosed with some type of mental illness or disorder. The most common mental disorders are borderline personality disorder, schizophrenia, and antisocial personality disorder. It is clear that people who have these disorders or trauma should receive psychiatric help or a form of treatment like therapy or medication. Of course, there is no excuse for the horrific murders they have committed. But unfortunately, most serial killers did not get the help that they obviously needed, which resulted in the loss of countless human lives. They should not be celebrated or dramatized because they had serious issues. Childhood trauma and mental illnesses shouldn't be grazed over. So, what does all of this mean moving forward in society? While this glamorization and obsession of these troubled murderers remains to be an increasing normalization, there are better ways to keep the public informed and educated without feeding into their idolization.